Peace, friends. My name is Mikkel White. I'm the pastor here of the South Lansing campus of Sycamore Creek Church. I'm so glad to see all of you this morning. Nathan is going to be my co-host. He's going to sit over here in a few minutes, but he's got something else to do first. So we're going to start out with a question that you can just shout out. I've got it here. What is your favorite or most unique Christmas ornament? Kylo Ren's face. All right. Stuff from your grandfather? I have, for the last 4 or 5 years, I've ordered a photo ornament from Target, and those, I think, are my favorites. The ones that are, it's just pictures, and, I don't know, it's memories. 2020, we're all wearing masks, and it's you remember things that have happened.
And you remember which kid is missing their front teeth which year.
That's true. It's just marks the years. Yeah. Pears. Okay. I like it. All right. Well, we've got a couple of awesome songs this morning, so go ahead and stand with me. Let's sing together.
Fun when we can come together and worship God together, and I'm just really thankful for the time and the space to be able to do this every week. I know for me it's a really good gift to be reminded that I'm not striving to follow God alone, right? But I'm with others who are figuring it out. Some of us muddle through it pretty gnarly ways, but we get there together, right? And there's grace, and there's mercy, and there's hope, and there's love here all along the journey. So But there's also joy. So as we come together, you like that transition, huh? Well planned, not at all. But yeah, we're going to go ahead and jump into singing Joy to the World together. Joy to the world, the Lord is come. Let earth receive her King. Let every heart prepare him room. And heaven and nature sing. And heaven and nature sing. And heaven and nature sing. Sing, sing, sing. Joy to the world. We will sing, sing, sing. Joy to the world, the Savior reigns. Let men their songs employ, while fields and floods, rocks, hills, and plains repeat the sounding joy, repeat the sounding joy, repeat the sounding joy. We will sing, sing, sing. Joy to the world. Oh, we will sing, sing, sing. He rules the world with truth and grace, and makes the nations prove the glories of his righteousness, and wonders of his love, and wonders of his love, and wonders of his love. We will sing, sing, sing. Joy to the world. We will sing, sing, sing. Joyful, joyful, we adore thee, God of glory, Lord of love. Hearts unfold like flowers before thee, opening to the sun above. Joyful, joyful, we adore thee, God of glory, Lord of love. Hearts unfold like flowers before thee, opening to the sun above. We will sing, sing, sing. Joy to the world. Yeah, we will sing, sing, sing. Joy to the world. Amen. Joy to the world.
Awesome. Would you join me in thanking God for our band? They are awesome. They jump in so many ways. Okay, wait, before you sit down, I should have told you this. We're going to have a snowball fight, so everybody grab a snowball. I'm awful. All right. Nathan.
Sorry, Heather.
Oh, gosh.
You were too many.
So at Sycamore Creek, we like to say that we hit different at Christmas, and that is one of the ways that we hit different. We have a lot of fun. And now kids, now that you're all wound up, you can head on upstairs to Kids Creek. This is for kids who are Kindergarten through 5th grade, you can head on up. Mr. Chad is in the back, ready to walk upstairs with you.
Right.
It's going to be a great time.
Have fun, kiddos.
Have fun. All right, when you came in, you should have gotten a program. And in that program is a connection card. I'm wondering how long the snowballs are going to keep going.
Oh, that's a good question.
By the way, because you were up on, with your bass, I didn't really introduce you.
It's true. I am Mikkel's husband.
Yep.
That's my official title. The other people call me Nathan, but no, you can call me Nathan. I've been married to Mikkel for coming up on 17 years.
Yep, that's right.
We both had to calculate this earlier.
That's true. That's true. We thought we hit 17.
We weren't sure.
Okay.
But at least we were there
Doesn't
together.
Matter. Okay, but so you serve mostly on the band.
That's true.
That's the place where most people are going to see you. You're also going to start a small group.
I am. It's called Not a Pastor, but Still in a Pub. So, right? I thought a few people would like that.
Because that's one of the things that I do is I show up at a pub in the area and I'm like, hey, come hang out and join me. We call it Pastor in a Pub. So
yeah, this is no
Not a
pastors
pastor.
allowed.
Yeah.
Just kidding. If the pastors show up, it's okay. But
Just don't go counting on it. Okay.
Yeah.
Connection card. You should have gotten this in your program. Pull that out, write your name, write your email address on it. We're going to give you more information on what to do with that in a little bit. And then you can also pull out your phone. It's time for selfies.
selfie.
This is what we do. This is what we do.
Okay.
As if we don't have enough selfies together.
But do we?
We have. They're mostly on my phone.
Oh,
I
that's
think.
true.
Yeah. All right.
Sorry,
so this
but-
week's selfie of the week is Gretchen and Anna.
Aw,
So
look at
Gretchen
that.
Williams, Anna Newman. They were sitting together. I think Gretchen might have been serving at Kids Creek last week, so they snapped a selfie together, and I think that's adorable. So if you post your selfie to your social media and tag it SCCMI, or if you're on Instagram, you can tag at Sycamore Creek Church MI.
But what about for those people who don't have social media?
For those who don't have social media,
I won't name anyone.
it's probably wise. You can, if you have my phone
a
number,
couple.
you can text it to me, but also you can email office@sycamorecreekchurch.org.
Okay, that works.
And if you do one of those things, then maybe next week you will be featured as our selfie of the week. And that, I guess, gives you bragging rights? Maybe?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, it's at least fun
We
to
will-
see your face on the screen, right?
We won't throw snowballs at you.
Yes, we will.
We won't. Well, everyone else might.
Yeah, okay.
I won't.
All right. Good talk. All right, so this week we are continuing a series that we started last week called Missing Piece. And I think it's going to be a great message.
Yeah. It's going to be fun. And our message
It sure is.
begins with this.
So I'm curious, how many of you right now know someone who's just a little bit difficult to love well? Don't look at them. Don't stare them down. Don't text them right now, okay? But I think that this is, my son has his hand all the way up. I'm not sure what that says. All right. But I think this is a pretty universal experience. Right? We have people in our lives that are difficult to love. It's not that they're not worthy of love. It's just that, maybe we don't mesh. The vibes are off. Something is going on there where it's difficult to love that person well. And I think that's true all throughout the year. And then I think sometimes when you add holidays on top of that, it just kind of gets turned up a couple of notches and everything is intensified. And then the pandemic and the lingering effects of that, it's just turned it up even more, I think during the pandemic, we all saw our social lives disrupted in some way. I mean, there was the social distancing and there was the quarantining and all that, but then also we saw how people were processing the world in a new way. Right? There were people that we had gotten along with really well for the most part, our friends, our colleagues, our acquaintances. and then you saw them in a new way. And social media either became the most important thing that you needed in your life to figure out, like, how to navigate your social life, or incredibly destructive and, like, the worst thing ever. Because we realized that people were seeing and processing the world in very different ways than we were, right? Now, over the past 3 years, 4 years, I guess, we're coming up on 4 years since the pandemic started, I think I've unfriended, unfollowed, hidden, and muted more people on my social media feeds than I have ever before in my life, right? And in part, that's because I moved states twice, okay? So in the last 3 years, I've moved states twice, and I'm not seeing those people on a regular basis, and I felt like I needed to let go of, like, whatever self-importance led me to believe that, like, these people needed my perspective in their lives, you know? Like if I unfriend them, then they won't see my really thoughtful insights onto these things and be changed. That's probably not going to happen, and so I needed to let go of that, right? And then the other reason is sort of the flip side of that. If the first reason is that I wasn't seeing people in real life anymore, and so I needed to let that go. The other reason is that I was seeing people in real life, and I needed to be able to continue to do that. I'm like, I got along with you okay before I knew how you felt about some things. I'm just going to hide that so that we can continue to work together, right? I remember there was one person. I didn't tell Nathan I was going to tell the story. No, but there was someone who posted something that they saw as a joke about people crossing our southern border. And we kind of tried to gently engage with them and say, like, oh, that's kind of hurtful. Like, that's not really, whatever. And it did not go well, surprisingly enough. And I was on the receiving end of a bless your heart from a Southern lady. And for those of you who don't speak Southern church lady, that's like, she was cussing me out, like, on Facebook. It was not good. And then I was like, I don't think those virtual relationships are serving me well. And so, yeah, okay. I found that it wasn't helpful for me to know everything about everyone during that time. And for a lot of us, that shift, those new insights, it didn't just happen, like, in our friendships, our work relationships, the people that we're seeing on a day-to-day basis. Like, we saw family sometimes in a new way, too. Like we grew up in the same house. Like, and that's how you see that? Okay, that's surprising, right? And so it's become even harder to navigate those family gatherings, the kinds of family gatherings that we typically have in December. It's December, by the way, in case you didn't know that. You probably need to start Christmas shopping if you didn't. And now we're in the middle of the 4th winter holiday season since the pandemic started. I had to do that math like 3 times because that didn't make sense to me. The 4th winter holiday season since COVID, and it seems like we've taken the baseline chaos of, like, relationships, added the chaos of the holidays, and then multiplied it by the pandemic. So it's like a lot. It's like a lot, and it's a lot to navigate. So one of the things that we do here at Sycamore Creek is we'll pause throughout our message just to have a chance to chat and to process. And so you can, like, turn to someone who's near you or move if you need to. If you're joining us online, you can put it in the chat. We have a chat question here. On a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being totally peaceful and 10 being completely unhinged, how chaotic are your family functions during the holidays and why? And if you're sitting near family, like, maybe you have to move, but, like, also be kind, right? Like, don't tell other people's business right now. All right, so take a minute and talk about it. Okay, so we have
This is an interesting one.
This is an interesting
right?
question for us to talk about. For one obvious reason is that we're married to each other, so our family functions overlap quite a bit.
So peaceful.
The other reason is like, at least my family, maybe your family too, they watch online.
Hi, Mom.
So, I have to be, so we'll just talk about like how our family is.
This is hopefully a masterclass in tact, but we'll see.
This
Just
is-
kidding. No, this is
That's
great.
definitely my strong suit.
Okay. Anyway, as I thought about this, well, just for my family personally, like,
Sure.
My broader family, I'm one of 5 kids.
The last out of 5.
Last out of 5 kids, and we're in a lot of different areas of life. So, but I would say it's like a 3 or a 4. Like generally, the holidays are like a short enough visit that we're not going to get into that like 5, 6, 7 territory too often, right? But like 3 or 4 is usually pretty good. Not very often. But, there's some stories to ask me about later. Yeah, we'll go with that.
I think like for our family, for us and our kids, the actual family, like Christmas or holiday stuff is pretty chill.
Yeah, it's fun.
What feels chaotic about the holidays for us is the fact that it's like a week or 2 weeks of no school. So then there's like no structure and like everything is on, like there's a lot of playing Barbies and that's not exactly chaotic, but I don't know. Is that peaceful?
It's fun.
It's something.
James has comments for later too.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. He's my oldest, and I see Liam sitting on top of him. Give him some space, man. All right. So here's the thing. Most of us, maybe all of us, have someone in our lives who's difficult to love. And in part, I think we should reflect on the reality that we live in what could be called an age of perpetual offense. All right, so people can be quick to become angry, quick to judge, quick to be offended. And if you're on a continual search to be offended, you're gonna find some reasons to be offended. And this is not like a Where's Waldo search, right? This is like playing hide and seek with a 2-year-old. Okay, it's going to be easy for you to find reasons to be offended if that's what you're looking for. And the challenge here is that being offended, living offended, is a no-win situation. I don't think I've ever met someone who said, my life is so much more productive because I'm angry all the time. Right? Like, or my quality of life has improved because I look for things to get frustrated about. I've never heard anybody say that. We need to recognize that being offended is inevitable. And sometimes there are good reasons to be offended. Please don't hear me saying anything to the contrary. Being offended is inevitable. Living offended is a choice. It's a choice that we have. And as followers of Jesus, we can choose wisely. We're in a message series that we're calling Missing Peace. It's based on a series from Life Church. And many of us are missing peace in our relationships, in everything from our sort of casual relationships to our closest relationships. And we're looking to the one who is peace, to Jesus, to be a source of peace for us, a source of internal peace in our own lives, in our own selves, and also external peace in our relationships with others. And the title of today's message is These People, as in, I can't believe these people. I feel dysregulated around these people. These people make me want to go crawl into my bed and not leave. These people are frustrating. I'm not sure if I can trust these people. And we're seeking God in the midst of those questions, of those responses for true relational peace, because Jesus is our peace. And so we're going to look at what Paul, who is a missionary and was a missionary in the New Testament, and he wrote a lot of letters to the churches that he started. He wrote this: bless those who persecute you. Don't curse them. Pray that God will bless them. Be happy with those who are happy and weep with those who weep. Live in harmony with each other. Don't be too proud to enjoy the company of ordinary people, and don't think you know it all. Never pay back evil with more evil. Do things in such a way that everyone can see you are honorable. Do all that you can to live at peace with everyone. This is really easy to read. It's really difficult to live this out. Paul said, if you've got anyone who's a little bit difficult to love right now, which maybe was all of us, bless them. Bless the people who are persecuting you, who are mean to you, who are rude to you, who have it out for you. Bless them. He teaches us as followers of Christ that we should be happy with those who are happy, that we should weep with those who are weeping, and he tells us to live at peace with everyone. Now, verse 18 here, it's our key verse, and this is one translation. Do all that you can to live at peace, live in peace with everyone. And another way to say it, if it is possible, as far as it depends on you, live at peace with everyone. As far as it's up to you, as far as it's up to your will, up to your actions, up to your motivation, up to your intent, as far as it's up to you, live at peace with everyone. So let's start at the beginning of this little section here that we just read where Paul says, bless those who persecute you. Bless those who are mean to you, who are short with you, who disagree with you, who talk about you behind your back. Bless those who are spreading untrue things about you. Bless them. Now, what does it mean to bless? The word bless, it comes from the Greek word eulogio, which you might recognize. It's pretty similar to eulogy, right? That you, it means good, and logio is like ology, logos, it means word. So it's like a good word that you're giving to someone. It means to speak well of or to wish great blessings on someone. So think about this. Speak well of and wish the best blessings for someone who's rude to you. Speak well of and wish the best blessings for someone who betrays you. Bless those who persecute you. Now, I don't know about you. It's really easy for me to bless those who are a blessing to me. It's really easy for me to be nice to people who are nice to me, to be generous to those who are generous to me, all of those things. That comes really pretty easily. It's really difficult, though. When someone is offensive, when someone is harsh to you, someone belittles you, someone leaves you out or hurts your feelings or betrays you, it's hard to bless people. In fact, I don't know about you, maybe you feel this way sometimes, but there's a little part of me when someone is really awful to me and then something bad happens to them later that I'm like, well, you got what you deserved. And I don't want to be that way, but that's in me. Maybe that's in you too. One light example of that, maybe it's like driving down Mount Hope Avenue, and some beat up Corolla comes flying down the center lane that's meant for turning left, and then I just kind of hope that I get to see them pulled over by the police, right? That's it's the lowest version of that. There's probably more, but we'll just leave it at that. Okay. So Paul gives us this very specific, very direct command. In the Greek language, this eulogio, what he's saying is a present imperative, which means you do it and you keep on doing it. It's not a one-time action. Very literally, this could be translated, be a continual blessing to those who are a continual problem. I'm preaching this to myself. I hope you guys can see it. Be a continual blessing to those who are a continual problem. I could be a continual blessing to someone for a couple minutes. I could do this for a little while. But after some time, I want to retaliate. I want to lash back. I want to hurt them in the way that they've hurt me. This is hard. This is so hard. And yet Paul is giving us this imperative. He's giving us these instructions inspired by the Holy Spirit that we, if you call yourself a follower of Jesus, that's you're included in that, right? Like, we are to be a continual blessing to those who are a continual problem. I think that's pretty impossible for me to do in my own nature. The only way we can do that is through the power of the Holy Spirit. And Paul actually talks in some ways about some stuff that can help us at the beginning of this chapter. We're in Romans chapter 12. And so we're going to go back to the beginning of this chapter to get some context here. He says, "And so, dear brothers and sisters, I plead with you to give your bodies to God because of all that he's done for you. Let them be a living and holy sacrifice, the kind he will find acceptable. This is truly the way to worship him." So in the middle there it says, because of all that he has done for you. Another way to put this is in view of God's mercy. So in view, like if you just take a step back and look at God's mercy in your life, of the things that you've been blessed with that like you didn't earn, or the ways that you have, been forgiven of things that, when you've been forgiven or when you've been blessed. In view of all of that, in view of God's goodness for you, in view of God's grace for you, Paul tells us to give your bodies to God. Now, some of you might be sitting here thinking, God is merciful? I don't know that God. I haven't experienced that part of God. And my prayer for you is that, like, you would experience that. You would experience God who loves you so deeply and truly as you are right now, who you are, that God's mercies are good and they're big. In view of who God is and what God's done, offer your bodies. Let them be a living and holy sacrifice. This is truly the way to worship God. I love this. Like, sometimes when we talk about worship, we're thinking of like the songs that we sing before and after the service. But really, it's how we live our lives. Loving people as we've been loved is a spiritual act of worship. And how do we do this? Paul says that we're a living sacrifice. That seems kind of like a contradiction in terms, doesn't it? Like when I think of a sacrifice, I think of an animal that's been killed. That's what I think of. Parenting in public is really fun, guys. It's great. It's great. It was a little bit sarcastic, just a little bit. I love you so much. I love that you're here and that you're interacting and that you're listening. All right. All right, so like these animals, right? Animals don't know that they're going to be sacrifices. They cannot volunteer to be a sacrifice, right? So when we're talking about a living sacrifice, what are we talking about? Well, the example that we have in Scripture is Jesus. Sometimes you might hear Jesus referred to as the Lamb of God. And it's related to this idea of Jesus being a sacrifice. And Jesus said, I'm willing to die. He said, no one takes my life, I lay it down. He is a living, willing sacrifice. Now, how do we love others, right? Like, in view of all that, we can lay down our own natural responses. We can lay down our selfish desires, that instinct to, like, hurt people when they hurt us. We die to ourselves so that Jesus can live through us. Now, Jesus, how he lived and how he died, he offers us an example of what it's like to love others in this way. It's Christ inside me. That's how we do it. In view of what God has done, I love people with the love of Jesus. Now, Paul goes on to say in verse 16, live in harmony with each other. Don't be too proud to enjoy the company of ordinary people, and don't think you know it all. Live in harmony with each other. How many of us need this when we're Christmas shopping? Right? When you're like trying to get the last parking spot someplace and someone like cuts you off. Like, live in harmony with people. When you're like navigating the self-checkout line at Meijer or Target and you're like, move it. Actually, funny story. I was at Meijer the other day and doing the self-checkout, and this lady goes, Karen, get going, move it. And I was like, oh, and then they knew each other and they were just picking on each other, but it was like a little nerve-wracking for a second there. Okay, all right, so too many of us, right? Like, he says, don't think you know it all. Too many of us, myself included, like, sign me up, first one in line, really want to be right all the time. I want to know that I'm right. I want to gather up people who agree with me so that I can be really sure that I'm right and that they're wrong and maybe they're not very smart. You know, like this is our human instinct here. But Jesus didn't say that people will know that we're followers of Jesus because we're right all the time. Jesus said people will know that we're followers of Jesus because we love well. Because we love well. That's actually how I want to be known. I want to be known as a person who loves well, not as a person who's always right. Although, like I said, I do like being right, and that's a hard thing, you know. But first, I want to be known as someone who loves well. Now, we're going to get into like a discussion on what this looks really practically and specifically about the election. Did you know that there's an election coming up next year? We're going to talk about that in just a minute. We're going to have a chat question first. Because I think a lot of us, you probably are like, you don't want to be a know-it-all. I don't want to be a know-it-all. And yet, when someone starts talking some really off-the-wall stuff, expecting me to agree with them, I have a really hard time knowing how to respond. Or when someone wrongs me, what am I supposed to do? How do you navigate this sort of tension of living at peace with people without getting taken advantage of? How do you show up for yourself in meaningful ways and have boundaries while also living at peace with everyone? Let's talk about that, okay? How do you think about living at peace with everyone without just getting taken advantage of? Turn to someone around you. If you're joining us online, put it in the chat. Let's take a minute and talk about this. This is such a tricky topic. I think it's like, I feel like I've been doing so much work to think about, like, grow in this just as a person over the last year, maybe. Mm-hmm. One thing that jumped out at me, and maybe you've heard this phrase before, you don't have to show up to every fight you're invited to. You don't have to show up to every fight that you're invited to. Like, sometimes people will bait me, and I have a hard time not responding.
Yeah. That's an interesting perspective.
Yeah, or like I want to
That's
like
hard.
stand in front of the mirror and practice. What a strange thing to say to me.
Yeah.
And just like let it go.
I think for me, right, living at peace with everyone without just being taken advantage of, like there's almost like concentric circles of how close I let someone get to like what I
Absolutely.
think, right? So when we were in North Carolina, I had a really good friend and we disagreed on almost everything, but like every week we'd go on this like run, mostly walk conversation thing, right? Where we would talk about all those things, but we had built up a lot of trust with each other, and we were never cutting, we were never sharp, we were respectful of our differences, and like that's a great example. I'd love that where like I've built the trust with him so that like, he wasn't going to try to take advantage of me, right? He was just going to honestly have conversation. But there are other people in my life that we know, like both of us know, like, hey, we have some pretty strong disagreements about things, and we've agreed to just not really venture into those waters together.
Yep.
Like we want to work on building the bridge between us rather than burning it, and like what we do is just avoid some topics, and that's worked out really well, right? To kind of set that own personal boundary of like, I don't really want to talk about this topic with you, but I would love to hear more about this happening in your life, right?
Yeah. I think that's such a great point about the concentric circles. I feel like I wish I had the image we had from the Find Your People series of like, you've got your 4 or 5 best friends forever in the middle, and then there's like growing circle. And the outer circle is like the people you see once or twice a year. There might be 200 people in that circle. And those people don't need to know everything that you think about everything.
That's true.
But your BFFs, like, you can navigate these hard things and talk about all of this with them. And, like, hopefully the trust is there that, like, you're still living at peace with them even as you're discussing these hard topics.
Yeah.
So, anyways.
Fun time.
Yeah. It's fun. And this year is going to be really fun. You know, we're coming up on an election year. So let's put this in context, okay? If you're politically conservative and you think or say, I can't believe that anyone liberal could ever follow Jesus, then maybe you're missing some perspectives. Or if you're politically liberal, and maybe this is more true in our community, and you think or say, I can't believe that anybody who's politically conservative could ever love Jesus, maybe you're missing some perspectives, right? If you live in either one of those extremes, I want to invite you to take Paul's words and Jesus' example seriously here. If it's difficult for you to imagine that someone who is born in a different part of the world or even a different part of our country, to different parents, maybe with a different skin color, with different opportunities, with different threats, how a person who's so different could wind up in a different place than you politically and still love Jesus, then I think it's time to expand your perspectives. And one way to do that, when people talk, don't just listen to respond, listen to understand. That is hard work. Listen to understand, listen to love. Start with grace, and then you can lead toward truth. If you have trouble understanding different perspectives, like your impact, your ability to build those bridges is going to be limited. We're followers of Jesus, and we have to be bigger than that. Now, you're going to face conflict in political conversations. You're going to face misunderstandings in political conversations. You're going to face differences of opinion because you just don't understand in political conversations. And you're going to experience conflict, misunderstandings, and differences of opinions in more than just political conversations. You're probably going to experience those things in conversations about parenting and work and emotions and boundaries and all the different parts of your life. And, you know, because our brains are biologically wired to protect us, when we encounter things that don't make sense to us, our brains fill in the gaps. Did you know that? Your brain fills in the gaps for things that you don't understand. So when someone is unkind to you or short with you or doesn't invite you to do something, your brain fills in the gaps to tell a story about why they did that. And this, I think, in some situations, can be a helpful framework for starting conversations when you say, these things happened. The story that I'm telling myself is this. Like the way my brain is filling in the gaps here is this. And then, is this accurate? Can you help me understand what I'm missing? Like, can you, like, you're leaving it open-ended? Because if we're not paying attention to the story that we're telling ourselves, this story that we tell ourselves about a situation can often skew negatively. Like we'll tell ourselves a hypercritical story about other people's actions and intentions and a really generous story about our own. Like they canceled on me because they secretly hate me. She did that because she really likes for me to be angry. He didn't do that because he doesn't care if I have more work to do. This accusation and accusation and accusation. And when we root our stories in accusation, we miss something. God wants our stories to be rooted in love because accusations erode friendships. They split relationships. They divide people. Now, remember what I said earlier that like there are good times to be offended. And it takes a lot of practice to discern what those places and times are. So I'm not saying that we don't talk about the things that happened. I'm not saying that we don't bring it up. I'm saying that like we suspend judgment until we have a chance to talk about the issue with that person. You know, you're bringing it up. You're saying like, you didn't act on my suggestion. And the story I'm telling myself is that you don't value my perspective. Can you help me to understand? Can you help me to see what I'm missing? Like you're still asking questions. You're still addressing the things that happen. You're not like letting it simmer, but you're leaving the end open. You're believing that maybe you're missing something. Maybe there's more information that you don't have. Remember that they won't know that we follow Jesus because we're right all the time. They'll know we follow Jesus because of our love. And that's why, remember, you're going to be offended, but living offended is a choice. I recently got the chance to pop over to Chicago with a friend, and I saw the Say Yes show by Scott Erickson, which is a show he calls it a liturgy of not giving up on yourself. Just reflect on that for a second. A liturgy of not giving up on yourself. It's about believing that you can change, that you can grow, that there's more to life than what's happening right now. And one of the things that he shared is by the way, he's on Instagram as Scott the Painter, and I think that, like, he's so Sycamore Creek. I'm just saying, like, I'm trying to get you guys, like, all right. So he shared this research that he had come across, and maybe you've heard this too. The research or the reflection was by this woman who had worked in palliative care for many, many years. Palliative care is like the care for people who are dying. And she identified 5 common regrets that people who are dying have. 5 regrets. Common regrets that people have when they're dying. And one of them is this: I wish I had let myself be happier. I wish I had let myself be happier. There's something that happens at the end of our lives where we begin to recognize that we had a choice about how happy we would be. Ooh, right? Like, we can choose today to let ourselves be happy or to stay offended all the time. I would much rather choose happiness. I don't know about you. I would rather do that, at least in the big picture. Sometimes day to day it's hard. It's hard to stay there. Imagine with me for a moment, just like a little thought experiment. What if Jesus lived offended? Like, what if he was petty about stuff? Like, I don't think he could do his mission, right? Like, if he was like, okay, Matthew, you weren't paying attention to my sermon. I said, blessed are the meek, because, like, and you didn't write any of that down. What if he had said, I healed 10 lepers, and only one of them came back to thank me? We live in an age of entitlement. or what he said, all right, Thomas, okay, why are you still doubting me? I brought someone back from the dead. Okay, like, fine, you weren't all about it when I healed the blind man, but like, I brought someone back from the dead. Like, get it together, right? No. I'm really glad that Jesus wasn't petty, right? And he reminds us that like being offended is inevitable, but living offended, staying in that all the time, that's a choice. And Proverbs 19 says, sensible people control their temper. They earn respect by overlooking wrongs. Sensible people control their temper. Another way to put that is wise people are patient. They take the time that they need to respond rather than react to situations. And they earn respect by overlooking wrongs, by overlooking offenses. What does it mean to overlook an offense? I don't think it's the same as just pretending that it didn't happen. It's a conscious decision to let things go. It's like real-time forgiveness. It's like, look, I know that happened. It bothered me. I'm going to assume good intentions and like not let it interfere with our relationship. Like, let's just keep going. We're going to pause for one more chat question. It's on this idea, right? Like, what is one place where you get offended, where you could overlook an offense? You know, maybe you have something that comes to mind immediately. Maybe you don't. But let's just take a minute and reflect on this idea. Whew. I hope you have some good answers, because I think I might need them from you.
Yeah, maybe.
Although
No.
this is what is one place you get it, like, it's not how do you do this, it's more like what is one place that this happens.
Yeah. I think for me, there's sort of like a swirl of thoughts around this, right? One is that anything that kind of has to do with my like kids and affecting my kids, like, you know, Papa Bear comes out a little bit. I'm like, what? Anyway, so I get like offended. Mikkel calls me a steel frame teddy bear sometimes. They're like, you push me, you're gonna hit a wall. But what I'm recognizing is like a lot of times there's just stuff I don't know going on in the person's life. Or for people I do know, like I can pause and reflect like, wow, I've seen this person be remarkably compassionate in other spaces. And I remember that, and I try to let that become the dominant thought, right? Like, this is a compassionate person who just disagrees with me on something, or a compassionate person who maybe hasn't learned some of the things I've had to learn, right? So I think there's like, for me, there is like a pause that I need at times to be like, what is going on beyond what I see here in this person's life to generate their perspective, and how can I be a better listener to not just what they're saying, but what's beyond what they're saying too. So I don't know if that makes sense, but.
Yeah, I think so. I was not listening to my own advice. I was thinking about what I was going to say.
Rude.
I can say that to him. I was trying to figure out a way to talk, for those of you who've been around for a while, you know that Pastor Tom was here at this campus before me. I came on staff in August of last year, and so, have been here for a little over a year. And Tom and I are very different people. And so coming in to lead here after he was here for so many years, there's like a change in just, I don't know, like all the things. And so I think there might be times that like people are operating like they did with Tom, and then there's like it's just different. And so I'm like navigating that. I don't know how to say that. Like, I'm not mad at any, it's not like I'm offended at anybody. It's just like, this is something that I'm processing. And part of that is like, I have very high expectations for myself. And so.
She really does. That's true.
Yeah, that is like Tom. Although, like, it's fine. I don't want to get into all of the different things. But, like, there's just, I can be a perfectionist sometimes. Yeah. And so there are things that, like, start to make me a little stressed. And so, like, letting go of that is part of what I'm working on.
I do think a helpful question that we've leaned into I've definitely more since being here and being part of Sycamore Creek, is the question of, like, what's the most generous interpretation of these events? Yeah. Right, what's the most generous posture I can take in this conflict or in this situation? And I think that's been really helpful and frankly annoying, but that's been a really helpful like little nugget of information to help me grow in my own perspectives.
Yeah. Well, and part of that is like in all of this, and we're talking about where we can overlook offenses, it's kind of boils down to like we have more important things to do than to be offended all the time. Like, you can apply this to that person at the Meijer self-checkout line, and you can also apply it to the people who are closest to you. You've heard Nathan and I having these conversations, like, up on stage here, and the thing is, like, a lot of people will comment to me. They'll just, like, tell me, oh, you've got such a great guy. Like, he's so great. And, like, that's true. He is a great guy. Yeah. We have like a pretty solid relationship. But here's the thing, you could have the best relationship. Like if there was an award for the best marriage or the best relationship in the world, you could receive that award and still you would have conflict. You would still hurt each other. There would still be moments that you don't understand what's going on, that you have different expectations for something. You still have to work through things. Like, the level of trust that's necessary for a relationship like that means you are going to hurt each other. You are going to offend each other. When we first got married in the early years of our relationship, we believed that the way to have the best, most healthy relationship possible was to talk about everything. I know. Like, sweet babies. I don't know. Like, we just, like, hashed and rehashed everything that we said. Like, when you said this, what you really meant was this, or what you really were communicating is this, and so you need to say it this way. You need to use these words instead. It was exhausting. We, like, parsed out every single word, the tones of voice, like, all the stuff. It was a lot. And eventually we learned that it was really less about the words that we were using and more about the trust that we had with each other. We learned that there would be times that we would snap at each other and then come back and apologize. There would be times that an emotion would flare and it would feel really intense in the moment. We give it some time and then later realize it wasn't actually that big of a deal. Or, and this is probably more common, realize that emotion actually was about a totally different situation altogether, and it was leaking out into our relationship. And so now we pick and choose what to make a big deal out of, and honestly, it is not easy to know which things are the big deals that you have to talk about and which things are not a big deal. But we're learning in the midst of all of that to trust that love doesn't seek to win the argument. Love seeks to protect the relationship. I mentioned a framework earlier that's a tool for like having difficult conversations. Another tool that we have here is the role renegotiation model. And so you might hear us talking about this sometimes. This is like, you have expectations for something, you have clarity on your role, and then, what happens, right? Like if an expectation isn't met, how can you talk about that? A small unmet expectation is a pinch. A large unmet expectation is a crunch. Sometimes crunches happen after a series of unaddressed pinches. This just is a framework to have that honest conversation, and most often to say, like, hey, this is my expectation. Let's talk about it. Like, is it reasonable? Like, can we get on the same page? Just so that, like, we know what to expect moving forward. We've had that conversation. And it doesn't assign intent either. It's not saying, hey, you intended to bother me, or you like whatever. It's just saying, hey, this happened. Can we talk about it? Remember what Paul said in verse 18. Do all that you can to live in peace with everyone. The really difficult truth here is that you can't control anybody but yourself. You can do all the right things, and you can't make the other person want to understand you. You can't make the other person show up to a conversation. You can't make the other person live at peace with you. That's really stinks sometimes. But as far as it depends on you, as far as it's up to you, as far as it's in your control, live at peace with everyone. Even the people who are rude to you, even the people who talk about you behind your back, even the people who deliberately misunderstand you, all those people. Do your best to live at peace with them. This is really, really hard work. And you need help from the one who is peace to bring peace to yourself while you're navigating these things. It takes two to reconcile, but it only takes one person to forgive. It takes two to reconcile, but it only really takes one person to be loving. And so as far as it depends on you, as far as it depends on me, we're going to choose to live at peace with everyone. I promise you that people are going to let you down. I will probably let you down. I might even offend you. I might have offended you today. I hope if it's a big deal, you will come and talk to me, and I'll trust that you're not just living offended, that like it's kind of something that we need to talk about. But just remember that being offended is inevitable, and living offended is a choice. Remember Jesus, the one who is our peace, he didn't tell us to always be right. Jesus told us that people will know we follow him because of our love. And so as far as it depends on us, what are we going to do as followers of Christ? We're going to live at peace with everyone. We're going to do our best by the power of the Spirit of God in our hearts to live at peace with everyone. And it's my prayer today that for someone, that could just be what you need to experience healing in yourself or in a relationship with someone else. Let's end here this message with a prayer. God, you said that you would be our peace. You said that you give us peace not as the world gives, but you give us peace in you. God, we ask that you would give us the courage that it takes to live at peace with everyone. That you would give us the patience, the grace, the wisdom to know what offenses to overlook and what offenses to address. God, this is really hard work. And we need your love and your peace in us to do this well. God, would you speak to us through others to remind us of like who we are in you and how you see us so that we can endure this hard work of living at peace, even with people who don't want to be at peace with us. God, we invite your Spirit to move in us, to transform us, and to be the peace that guards our hearts and our minds. And we ask this in the name of Jesus. Amen. So we're talking this morning about living at peace with each other, and part of what that looks like is connecting with other people. We would love to connect with you. I think you might want to connect with us. So pull that connection card back out, and if you flip it over, there are some next steps here, some things that you can do just to respond. It could be as simple as reading something. It could be thinking about like overlooking an offense or whatever. We also have the mitten tree.
Yeah, we're going to
in
talk
the
about
cafe.
that in a
We're
little
gonna
bit,
we're
right?
gonna talk about that in a little bit. It's looking real good today. So you can bring mittens or scarves or gloves. You can sign up to serve at one of our Christmas celebrations. So there's a few ways that you can respond this morning.
Speaking of the Christmas celebrations.
Wait.
Oh,
I also
too
want to just
soon,
mention
too
that you can write down prayer requests on this card. They'll stay confidential. We do have a prayer team who would love to pray over anything that's going on in your life. If you just want someone to know about what's going on in your life, we would love to pray for you and be with you in that.
And now speaking about Christmas celebrations,
There you
right?
go.
So we've got a number of different things happening this year with the South Lansing campus, and there's things that happen with the other campus in your bulletin program. I was like, what's the word? I lost it. There's a sheet that has all that stuff on the back of it. So snap a picture of that so you have it in your phone. You can pull it up anytime you need to. But I'm really excited about this week. We're doing Christmas karaoke at Ellison's, and it's if you've ever come to Pastor in the Pub with Pastor Mikkel, it's going to be like kind of the same. So it's like karaoke pastor in a pub.
Yeah.
And that's what it says on my sheet, and I'm now expecting Mikkel to do karaoke because it's karaoke pastor, right? We're going to have to talk about that later.
We'll have to see about that. Okay, but this is at Ellison in Rio. There's another Ellison somewhere else. I forget where. But we're going to be at the one in Rio.
Yep.
And by the way, this is on Tuesday night, and on Tuesdays, they have a $10 burger, fries, and beer deal.
It's pretty awesome. So, if you don't come for the singing,
I'm
just
impressed
come for
by that. We show up just for that. So
it's because we have 3 kids, and it adds up.
yeah, that's right. So that's this week at 6 p.m. And then on Saturday, so before the next time we're back here, we're going to Fenner Nature Center in the Davis Nature Pavilion. We'll have signs out and all that stuff.
Yeah, so it'll be inside. We'll be doing like a service to kind of help center our minds and hearts on God and what God's done for us during this season. And if you're like, it's inside, that's boring. We're going to do s'mores afterwards outside. So it's like, hey, it's a win. You can go to both. So definitely love to see you at that.
It'll be so fun. And then next week on the 21st, we're going to be in Buddy's in Holt. They have a room in the back, and again, if you've been around for a while, you know that we have a relationship with Buddy's, but like if you're new here, this is something we love to do, to go to Buddy's. We'll have church in a pub, Christmas in a pub, something like that. Mm-hmm. If it's your first time going to a pub event, then we will buy your burger and fries for this event. So.
And I know some of you are going to try to like wear those glasses and fake mustache things. You can't do that.
No.
Like, you can't pretend to be a new person.
We'll recognize
you,
okay.
John Miller.
Right.
Just kidding, not John Miller.
Oh my word. All right. So like we said, this is our schedule. You got it here in your program. One thing that's coming up that we want to draw special attention to is on New Year's Eve, that's a Sunday, this campus will be closed. And we're saying this every week. So if you show up and you didn't hear this, like, I'm really sorry, but also we're telling you now, New Year's Eve, there's no one going to be here. We're going to be at Eastwood, and there's going to be a noon countdown party. So if you've got kids that turn into monsters when they stay up late,
or husbands that turn into monsters.
I have no idea what that's like. Then you can come have a countdown party at noon. And this will be at Eastwood, which is our campus across from the Eastwood Town Shopping Center. All right, so, we mentioned the mitten tree. all the mittens and the gloves are going to be given to people in need. So it's not going to, like, they're not going to be charged for anything. It's just like,
Yeah, I want to say
away.
if you didn't notice that it was a tree this week because it's covered in so many mittens, like that's very
That's not a bad
understandable,
thing.
right?
Those get taken every week.
Every week.
So that's all today.
Bring them back next week
Next
for
week.
more, and we'll
Yep.
continue to bless the houseless within our communities.
Exactly. All right, so one more thing to let you know about is that we do something here. It's our annual Christmas offering challenge. This is super exciting. It's a challenge that we issue to it's a challenge for us too, to give away as much as you spend on Christmas. If this is your first year, you probably are going to have to work up to it. That's totally normal and totally okay. But this Christmas offering, all of it goes to care for our community. So, it's just a fun way to give back to the community and have this challenge. So we have a video actually from some partners of Sycamore Creek in Potterville to share about why they give to the Christmas Offering Challenge.
My name is Joe Sheetenhelm. This is Sarita, my wife.
We attend the Potterville campus. We've been here before. It was Potterville, Sycamore Creek. It was Potterville United Methodist Church. So we've been here for about...
However old Emma is. She's 11.
11 years. The first thing I thought of when I thought of this challenge was it was pretty amazing how much power there is in that large number that helps the community. And it's very important for us to help the community in whatever way. And it was very cool to have this church that supports that ministry.
It's important for me because growing up, we had one Christmas where my parents were both laid off, and they were having a hard time making ends meet. And my mom kept saying emphatically over and over that, we're not going to have a lot to get for Christmas this year, kids. So you might pick out one or two small things, and that's probably all you're going to have. But we were able to pick small things, and it seemed like that was a really great Christmas. And my mom, she would tell the story over and over again how that was probably our best Christmas, even though we didn't have any large things, and we were able to enjoy each other more. And so I feel like the money you could use to other things might go to better things. And, you just enjoy the spirit of Christmas and enjoy those things more.
I would encourage other people to give because this is such a great fund that goes to so many different ways in the community. It helps, our Easter egg hunts, and it helps our benevolence fund for those friends who need help with their heating bill. And unfortunately, in our world today, it's just the needs are honestly outweigh the good in many times, and it's nice to be the good force in the world as opposed to the negative force in the world.
It's so important to help out your neighbors, your friends, your community. And I don't know if we do it ourselves that great, but I know the church does it for us. And that money is going to help people out in so many better ways than anything that I could come up with myself.
And also hit those needs that we may not realize are really there. And it's a way of us supporting the community.
Oh, I love hearing from people. Yeah, let's give them Sheetenhelms. That's so fun. Last week we shared with you about Totes for Teachers, which is something that we did with this fund at the beginning of the school year. And this week I want to tell you about the gas giveaway that we do every year around Mardi Gras. So, or Ash Wednesday, it's somewhere in there. That week we partner with the gas station next door, and we give away $10 of free gas to anybody who comes in. And it's just a way of loving our community, of showing up, and being a blessing to the community. And this is one of the things that the Christmas offering goes to. And if you would like more information on the things that the Christmas offering goes to, I'd love to share those with you as well. One more shout out question. What is your favorite Christmas song? Oh, Holy Night. That's a good one. The Grinch. That's a good one. I kind of expect that you will sing that at karaoke. If you can make it, yeah. So think about what is your favorite Christmas song, and can you sing it at Christmas karaoke? You see what I did there? There's a strategy. All right, all right. Would you? Oh, you need me to do that too? Okay, well, we'll see. I know. Parenting in public is real fun. All right. Would you stand with me and let's sing another song? I hope that this morning you are encouraged to live at peace, and as much as it depends on you, to live at peace with everyone. Join us next week, or on Tuesday at Christmas Karaoke, or on Saturday at Fenner, and we're going to have a message on why is God making me wait. If you're struggling with waiting on something, it's going to be a great message. Until then, be curious, creative, and compassionate, and go in peace.